Shalom from the heartland of Israel. My friends, last time in Shiur Echad, in the first lesson, we learned about the history of the Shulchan Aruch. And Joseph Caro wrote the Shulchan Aruch in order to give to uh, the average Jew a guide in the observance of the fulfillment of the Torah by practical halacha. However, through because his Shulchan Aruch was so enthusiastically received, a lot of Torah scholars wrote commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch, and together with the commentaries, it also became a very big volume to learn from. So what Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried did in the 1800s is he took the Shulchan Aruch back to its original form, and he made like a kind of a summary out of it uh, in order to get the main thing again, what how the Shulchan Aruch was intended, to the point, halacha, and that is what we are learning from today. The actual Shulchan Aruch is much bigger and consists of many volumes to study from, and we will learn from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, there will be no discussions. There will be no different kind of thoughts. It just tells us how we should do it, and when necessary, it gives us the Ashkenazi or the Sephardi way of how to perform a certain kind of mitzvah. Um, the practical guides for day-to-day following Torah is called halacha. Halacha comes from oleg. Oleg means to walk, and we must walk in the ways of Torah, and that means that we must do them, we must live by them, we must perform them. It must be our daily life. Um, in Shemot 18, verse 20 says, "And you shall teach them the statutes and the laws, and show them the way wherein they must walk, oleg, and the deeds that they must do." And in Shemot 16, verse 4, it says, Hashem said to Moshe, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven, and the people shall go out and gather their daily portions, that I may prove them whether they will walk, oleg, in my Torah or not." And walking in the Torah of Hashem means performing the mitzvah, doing day to day halacha practice in our lives. Hashem tells Israel also what the results of oleg, of walking a life according to Torah, will be. A daily performing from the mitzvah of the halacha says in Vayikra 26, "If you walk in my statutes and you will keep my commandments and you will do them, I will provide you with rain at the right time. Thus I will be a God to you, and you will be a nation dedicated to me." So our connection with Hashem is embedded in us doing the mitzvot as prescribed in the Torah by the instructions given, the halacha instructions given for example, in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. This is beautiful summarized. We ended that like by saying that this is beautiful summarized in the last one of the last passages of our morning prayers, where we say that it is taught in the school of Eliyahu, "Whoever studies halachot every day, he is assured of life in the olam haba," that's the world to come. "For it is said, the ways, halichot, of the world are his." Do not read halichot, ways, but read halachot, practical instructions. And we see in Judaism, in our sacred texts, that the shortest of a word, the three-letter basis of a word, can give different meanings when we change the syllables, the, the sounds. Then we started briefly with the first and second chapter, law from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. The first one was laws upon awakening in the morning. And the very first thing when we rise up and get up is that we should say to Hashem, Modeh ani lefanecha melechai bekiyam ze'echasata b'nismeti nechamla arava emunatecha. I thank you, living and everlasting King, for you have restored my soul with mercy. Great is thy faithfulness. And then we wash our hands. Before touching anything of our body, we wash our hands. We do netilat yadayim. We take the cup, we fill it, and we pour right, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. And then we say the bracha, but we don't say the bracha within the bathroom. We say the bracha outside of the bathroom. Never we will say within a toilet, within a bathroom, the bracha. It's not the appropriate place to do so. So you step out and then you say the necessary bracha. But what we normally do is we wait also with saying the bracha for netilat yadayim and yatsar hadam, Yasar Het Ha'adam, until we start with our first cycle of personal morning prayers, before even entering the Beit Knesset. What we also said at the very end is that it is important every day to begin your day with a bit of Torah study or a bit of Mishnah study. And in our case, also in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, study, learn halacha, learn Torah, learn from the parasha, and fill yourself with sacred, with holy knowledge, with holy encouragement from Shemaim. The reason we do wash our hands is that in the night our hands may have touched our private parts or other parts of our body, and even we have maybe had unclean thoughts, and by doing netilat yadayim, we clean ourselves from those unclean spirits and unclean thoughts and unclean touches during the night, and those uncleanliness will leave our system through our hands. And we learn in the Kabbalah that the spirits, the evil uncleanness, will try to jump to the other hand in order not to go away. So what we have learned in our practice is when we start with pouring the water on our right hand from the wrist down, so not just the tips of your fingers, but from the wrist down, you pour the water right, left, right, left, right, left, and then eventually the unclean thoughts, the unclean spirit, the unclean attachments from the night will disappear. Let's close this. Yes. So. Only after doing netilat yadayim we are allowed to wash our face and brush our teeth or start preparing. But we must be very careful not to touch our face before we did netilat yadayim, because then we will touch ourselves with our fingers that are unclean from the night. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is laws of dressing and conduct. So after we washed our hands and brushed our teeth and washed our face, and you took your shower, and we started getting dressed, we should always take precautions to dress ourselves modestly, but also in the way we get dressed, do it properly. So maybe uh, in the morning you should not do it with the windows open, or in the door opening when your children walk by and they see you in your underwear. Oh, baas. Nee, kan niet. De opname is nu. Als die dit. Ja. Oh my goodness.